which is exciting. Yay, technology. So
Woohoo.
this this is Neve, and I'm here with Deborah, and she's finished going through my program, which is Revive Your Essence. It's a Ayurveda and emotional healing course, spiritual evolution type of course. And so I just wanted her to share some of the things that really touched her heart and helped her grow and shift and integrate and keep going on the self-healing journey. So yeah, anything that anything that you want to kick us off with is fine.
Sure. Well, I've been on this self-healing journey for quite a while, and I do have very many practices that I employ to help others, not always for helping myself. So I think that this Revive Your Essence really enhanced my practice and myself. It helped me to see myself as more worthy from the onset, really. Even the fact that I was investing in myself for the first time. And the thought, well, yeah, I always invest. I take classes, I travel, I do whatever, but I don't, this felt so self-nurturing from the onset. You know, your kindness and compassion, even in your authenticity, and not like, oh, this is my product, buy it now, you're gonna run out of time. It's like, take your time. You know, when you decide. And I had to decide. And my business, my healing business suffered because of the COVID. And I was like, where am I gonna get this money? How am I gonna do this? And I sat with it, and it just kept on calling to me that I had to do this, I had to do this. So I did, and I'm so happy that I did. It has been a beautiful journey. Even like when you had to map your past, that helped me. I mean, I did pages because I'm older too, but pages and pages of different aspects and life experiences that I've done. And it was really helpful to look back, because sometimes you forget some of the things that you've done, and some of the experiences that you've had, whether they're heavy or light. They all helped bring you to this point, and I'm thankful for even just that. And then we had to do a super heroine picture, and that was fun because it was a different way of seeing myself. Once I had a student that actually wrote a story, and I was a superhero in it. So when I had to do this, I was like, oh, I had a cape. Ryan had a cape on me, and it just made me go there, and that dovetailed with. I started dating in September, and I hadn't dated in 3 years, and that dovetailed with something where I had to find my diamond self name, and all this stuff, was, I think, in divine timing for me to do this, which is really good. Um,
Yeah, I love how you kicked it off with like it was an investment in myself because that's huge. And I think a lot of times we do think like, oh, well, I'm getting a massage or I'm going to this yoga class or I'm getting this certification. Like I'm investing in myself. I'm going to buy some, organic soap or something, right? But actually investing in like, no, I'm going to point my prana, my awareness, my energy at this thing that is teaching me, oh, I got to love myself. Like I actually have to put myself first. I can't just serve other people. Like I have to fill up my cup. So I thought it was really cool you started with that because it's a huge deal.
it
It's
really
like a
is.
yeah, it's a big one. So
Yeah. So I even, I thank you for that. And then as I went through the program, some of the things were like, oh, I do this already. Oh, this is another name for something that I do. And each step just dovetailed with the ancient ways, like with my shamanic healing training, with my qigong training. You know, a different way to look at myself, which sometimes I use to look at others, but to look at myself from that perspective and that point of view was part of the gift, really, of this. And it still, goes with, yeah, I'm worth investing in. So thank you for that. There were so many aspects. I have bullets and highlighted different things uh, all around this, working with myself, working with relationships, working with healing. There were a couple of things I wrote down, a couple of things like the Matt Kahn judgment is your inability to see how everything is here to help you. I never
oof.
thought of judgment as that way, to sit with that and to reflect on that and maybe journal on that. I haven't done journaling in years. I had a diary from when I was 10 years old into my 40s, well into my 40s, and I stopped. And I think that aspect of this class, this revive your essence, whatever you want to call it, this experience, I think it's more of an experience, healing experience, was helpful. To sit and reflect on different aspects, different things that I do. How can I enhance this? How can I make this richer? And then things I never heard of, like that quote, just to sit with that. Very powerful, very healing. You think you're a good person, and we all are, but then you have to think, oh, what else can I do to benefit others? How else, I live a life of service. How else can I help others, but also help myself? Because I not always included myself in this journey and looking from this perspective that yes, you're important in this life of service. you know?
Yeah. Yeah, you're important too. Yeah.
And it's just, and this whole practice is based on self-awareness, right? Ayurveda, self-awareness, insight into what your body needs, what your body, I think the word was craves, what your body craves, you know, naturally. I work with the seasons, I work with um, intentions, I work with thoughts, but never, I think, on this level. So I think that was very powerful. And, um, just in the seed sounds of the words, of the 10 habits sounded healing to me. And I asked you to help me with the pronunciation because I, I know there's no right or wrong in everything, but just the sounds of some of those words were healing, and to sit in those seed sounds and then to look at their meanings, like ahimsa, right? The first one, nonviolence in thoughts and words. Okay, I consider myself a pacifist. I consider myself nonviolent. And then to think, well, there have been times that looking at myself, I might not have treated myself as I would have treated a friend or someone I cared about. Well, that's wrong. So this practice helped me look at that. And I don't think I did that a lot, but even just to think about that too, thoughts become things. Your thoughts are so powerful. And um, I always was somebody who just spoke my mind. So just to sit for a minute and remember to think before I spoke was helpful, that practice. Mm.
Yeah, and I think it happens on such a subtle and kind of quick, like we're just kind of beating ourselves up mentally sometimes and we don't even pick up on it. So when we slow down and start to say, "Oh wait, I don't want to be violent even towards myself and my own thoughts," because that will manifest and continue, right? It's like, "Oh,
Mm.
that's big." And I love that. I'm so glad that that quote blessed you. Like, judgment is your inability to see how everything is here to help you, everything, everyone. Because that, like, judgment is such a hard thing, especially right now with all the stuff going on in the world. It's like, "Oh, you're not X or this is," and it's like a very judge laden. And one of my first practices that helped was the mirror, like just seeing everyone else as a mirror. But that statement, for some reason, anchored that mirroring practice for me. I was like, okay, if I'm triggered, how is this person here to help me? Because there's something I'm supposed to learn about myself through this situation, through this experience. So it's just,
Yeah.
I'm really glad that blessed you, because that was very, like, basically it's a collection of all the things that were super powerful for me in the course, right? So that was huge for me. I was like, oh, everyone's here to help. Uh,
I know. And you just said about the mirroring. Well, I've done practices where I sit with people like one on one and we just look into each other's eyes and we do, give love, give kindness, give compassion. And I think Louise Hay or somebody Hayes, she has you look at the mirror and say positive affirmations about yourself and that kind of stuff. Um, but when I was doing, is it Satya? The
Satya.
truth,
Hmm.
Satya, that looking in the mirror and seeing the goddess and divinity in yourself was so, so powerful. yeah, I'm looking at myself, I'm looking for my truth, but to see yourself in that way, um, felt really good. And
Again,
it's
one of
hard to
these,
do.
yeah, it is hard. And this is one of those breakthrough practices for me was
Yes.
being able to not look in the mirror and like see my zits and like all the imperfections, but to look in the mirror and be like, there's a goddess in there. Oh my gosh. I see it. There's divinity. I see it. There's this light. And because it's so easy just to see all the imperfections. It's like a mental, the mindset piece in practice in the mirror. I don't know. So that was one of those things where I really shifted that and self massage to being like, oh yeah, I'm beautiful. Yeah. Like
Yep.
I can own that. I see the divinity in there,
And
So
it's something so easy, so easy, but it's something I can see in other people so easily. You know, I think I shared with you one time. I just went into a group and I just see, I don't really look at looks, but I could see the faces, and each face of each person was just emanating love. And to see that is such a gift. I wish our society was more bent towards seeing that in yourself, rather than what it is. I don't really pay attention to looks, but to see yourself in that light, and I think that's what comes out in the mirror. You see the love and light in yourself, which is beautiful with that.
yeah, and it it does go back to like how much can I fill my own cup so
Yes.
that I can really show up and serve and love others. Because if I really love myself, it's so much easier to give to others.
Yes.
Um,
And lifetime experiences that I've had through the years, um, did not show that, did not teach that, did not, uh, and it's not just me. I'm sure a lot of people, have these different experiences where they were shown the exact opposite by others. So how do you learn to feel better about yourself while doing these practices? You said the self massage. That was another one. I love to get a massage. Who would have thought that I could do it for myself? And that was a gift too. A beautiful gift. And I've made it a practice. I've made a lot of these things practices. I already ate light and tried to stop eating late, but not consistently. So I think with these practices, when you sit with them and you learn them and you reflect on them, I think they breed consistency because it just feels so good, and then they become habitual, which is what they're supposed to be, right? And that is a beautiful gift too, for everything that I've been doing for myself, physically and mentally and emotionally.
yeah,
So thank
well, yeah, the holistic part. Well, it's true. I mean, all of the Ayurveda, the basic principle, like the dinacharya is what it's called. Dinacharya is the daily rhythm. That just basic daily rhythm is really about nourishing yourself. And in my mind, spiritually, it's nourishing yourself so you can do your work in the world, fulfill your purpose, serve others, do your dharma, right? Whatever that is, it's like, okay, I have to nourish myself. And I personally think that's what Jesus is talking about. Love your neighbor as yourself. Well, how are you loving your neighbor if you can't love yourself? So it's kind of, I love Ayurveda as far as like diet. It's not really a diet, it's a system of
you.
self-nourishment. Isn't that what the healthcare system is supposed to be doing anyway? Like, what? So I think we're moving in this direction. I think Ayurveda will be more widely practiced as people catch on. It's really important to nourish ourselves. So, and it's so funny. Like, we do think about it like, oh, I'll get a massage. I'm actually getting a massage today. Ah. So
Yay.
it's like, you think about it like, oh, I'm going to outsource my healthcare. But Ayurveda is like, well, how much of it can you do in-house with yourself? So
And that's important, that again, I don't think our society has taught that. And that's really a shame. But these are, again, this is too ancient ways. If this had been brought up through the years, then we wouldn't have some of these wounds and these emotional experiences. If you're going to call them negative, I'll call them heavy experiences that we've had, in our lives. So I think that helps. And other things like finding balance, that we had a come up with a word for the year, and mine was balance. I sit in both worlds, I think, this supposedly real world and then the spiritual world. And sometimes the real world or this world or whatever it's called, I'm more in that. But how can I bring up that spiritual so I have balance in my life? And I think that these practices help with the balance, because you are balancing yourself in so many ways, balancing self-love, balancing physical and emotional aspects and mental aspects of yourself through these practices. And I think that helps with the whole overall balance. And every little part that we do, and everybody that joins you here, every little part that we do for ourselves is only going to like have a domino effect, because it will go out into the world, as higher vibrations, more loving kindness, different practices that we all love and maybe haven't been labeled as such. So it's a way to help us out in the world too, to help others. So
Oh
thank you.
yeah. Yeah, one thing I learned this year leading the group was just how much all these things then come into play with relationships, with our family and with our friends and with our coworkers. And it's like, okay, all this stuff is nice at your altar at home, but then when you're at work, how do we see our coworkers as divine and actually living all of this stuff? So it really does, like, you can kind of see where you're at when it comes to your triggered relationships. You're like, oh, I'm doing okay, or ooh, okay, I have more work to do.
And I think that's, we had spoken on call about that a little bit, the relationships. Oh my gosh, you have to have a good relationship with yourself before you can really help heal some of the relationships you have. And the fact that I started dating, and I have to go back to that for a minute, has taught me a lot about myself. But the timing, I started that in September. I started this in October. I think that there was an underlying connection between this practice and my looking at myself in different ways through people I have met, and not just in dating. The holidays, being with family, maybe somebody that um, wasn't your cup of tea, or for some reason you thought that, and then seeing them stopping, waiting, thinking, reflecting before you act or respond to some things was very helpful. So thank you for that too. And I think that's definitely a result of this practice. So very.
Aw, that's so cool. I didn't know that. Thank you for sharing that. Um, yeah, and I'm so excited to have you continue and be a mentor. And one thing that I just want to like thank you for is dancing with my shadow. Wow, that was such a powerful experience for me when we did the Koya class. So I hope we get to dance. I'm planning dancing in 2021, a little bit more dancing. But man, that shadow, dancing with the shadow was so emotional. It was difficult. It's like looking in the mirror and seeing the divine in your own eyes. Like, it was difficult to like have this shadow aspect of myself right here dancing, but so integrated. It's so, yeah, I mean, the universe is just perfect when you're paying attention to the signs. But
And
when you're not, it doesn't feel like it.
that's true. But this practice really, I said to wait before I speak or a different thing. It does help slow you down in a lot of ways, and that's when you can notice what you're talking about, the gifts from the divine. If you and we have such a hurried lifestyle, and there's so much chaos and trauma in the world, and to bring yourself in this space, in this loving space, because that's where it is. That's what this whole Ayurvedic space is too, nurturing, loving. And this course, to bring yourself in that space and sit and um, just be and know that you can slow down, you can be with yourself through these practices, whether you do them at night, in the morning, through the day. And it's great that you can bring some different aspects, and really they just all blend together in your lifestyle. Beautiful. Very cool. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I mean, I that's what I love about Ayurveda is it's like each of the practices, it's like, oh yeah, great. Now I have to do all these habits and take care of myself. But when you get kind of over yourself with all that and you start doing them, it's like, oh, these practices are bringing me into the moment and making the moment sacred. And they're not really just habits, they become rituals.
Yes. Yes. Which I do ritual and ceremony so much. I have done them. Even my practices in the morning, sometimes they take 45 minutes to an hour on a daily basis and then longer on the weekends. But to bring this and blend this and weave this into my practices has been a gift too. So thank you for that too.
Yeah, you're welcome. Well, thank you for being willing to come on here and just share with everyone. Is there anything else or any closing thoughts before we send love and blessings out to the group?
I think that it was a gift. It's also a gift that we meet as a group. I mean, I love meeting with you individually, but to meet as a group helps
Mm,
everyone because there is something that you voice that will help somebody on some level, and something that someone else will voice that will help you on some level. So that aspect too was very beneficial. It was wonderful to meet other people, like-minded people in some ways, and to share, to share is a beautiful gift. So thanks for that too. Thanks for
yeah, I mean,
spearheading this.
yeah, well, I'm so glad that you wanted to bring that in before we go because I have found that we really learn faster and evolve quicker as a group with other people. And we're more committed to ourselves because if we're going to tell everyone, hey, I'm going to go to bed earlier this week, everybody was listening. It wasn't just a coach. And so it changes it to this like, okay, we're a dynamic group and we're growing
Yes.
together. And one of us slipped off the cliff, but we're going to grab her and keep going. Like, it's okay. It doesn't matter. We got you. Like, and you can lean into the support of nature and the universe. We can also lean into the support of a group. And so I've just found that, as doing both coaching one-on-one and groups, it's like way more powerful in a group. Takes a little bit more facilitating skills, to be honest. But it really is, I think, so much more for everyone's benefit. Yeah.
And it
And my
is. And
myself as well.
personally, I was just going to say, and personally, I'm used to being independent. I was on my own from such a young age, and I'm always helping others. I have many people in my family that I help. That was another thing, the timing. Here I am taking care of my father for a year, my daughter's ill, whatever. I have so many things going on, as everybody does. But to not be to let go a little bit and not be okay, independent. Let me look to others, let me learn from others, let me accept and receive from others. That's a great lesson too from this. So thanks. Really deep
Yeah.
gratitude. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, thank you for being such a dynamic group member. It's not what we're trained to do, right? It's easier to be quiet or lurk, or maybe sometimes for some people, right, being overbearing, but to just be able to blend in and listen and receive and give, it's like, whew, when that happens, it's bueno. It's good stuff. It's really good. So,
So
and I think
thank
we
you,
had,
Dee.
yeah, yeah, you're welcome. I think we had a lot of that this year. So I'm excited to see what 21 brings because we're in it now. Woo, January.
Woo-hoo. Many opportunities, many blessings, for this year for everybody.
Yeah, awesome. Well, yeah, I'm looking forward to this next version of how we grow together and seeing what happens and how we collaborate. It's collaborative, overflowing abundance in relationships. I haven't
That's
picked one
perfect.
word, but that's the energy. It's collaborative and it's overflowing and it's abundant in love and in life and in richness, like the earth, like abundant. I don't know. So I'm excited.
That's perfect. I know we spoke about different words, and that sounds great. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you. And thank you everyone who's watching. If you can message or if you want to comment under this video, we can reply if you're curious about anything we spoke about, and we'll see you guys again soon.
Okay.